Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And a lot of weird shit. Roll to seize!
Welcome to Roll to Seize. This is episode 51. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and Warhammer enthusiast, Andrew Dickinger.
That's me.
Andrew! There are things happening right now, we're sure of it.
Yeah, probably.
Crazy things.
We heard it on the Vox.
Upheavals everywhere.
All over the place.
Okay, guys, we're going to be straightforward. We're not entirely sure if the FAQ has happened yet. Time is different for us here in the Black
Wibbly-wobbly.
Library. So the FAQ might have arrived already by the time you're listening to this. The big FAQ that's supposed to drop here in September. But it hasn't yet for us here in the Black Library, so we can only speculate.
See, here's the thing. The reason we're banking on this is because that there's technically only one more complete weekend in September.
In September, yes.
So
and, it's got to have happened by now, right?
Like this,
almost.
Unless they choose to release it on
like the
last
very
Saturday.
last Saturday or Sunday of September. Like they're gonna just get it right up to the line.
But isn't the last day of September a Saturday?
No, it's a Sunday.
Oh, it is a Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, so they could technically wait another 4 days from when you're listening to this.
True. Or it could have happened already, and we're crazy.
Time travel.
Time travel is tough. But as we like to do, we always make accurate predictions of things that are going to happen and when things are going to release, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
always.
Yeah. So we're gonna do everyone's favorite game: speculate on something that has already happened.
Yep.
Which means it means nothing.
Well, I think we're really only reflecting on one, maybe two major changes. I think the first one is obvious, some kind of CP restriction.
Yeah, some CP restriction is probably going to happen, or it already happened.
Or it already happened, yeah.
And we're just hoping that it's good, because, man, that's kind of a problem.
See, though, after doing some more in-depth research, though, on the problems right now with regards to the CP issues, even with a change of saying it can only come from one source, meaning, I guess, one detachment or one army or one faction, it still doesn't greatly affect the one that's abusing it the most, which is Astra Militarum.
Yeah, because they still have the Relic and the Warlord trait separately, and
Yeah.
they work in separate areas. One's for the opponent and one's for you.
And the one for you is it's arguably the best one in the game because it's a 5+ per CP spend on your own stratagems, which is just so good.
Maybe, and again, could have already been announced, so this means nothing. But maybe, hopefully, it'd be one die roll per stratagem. So
Yeah, but then what are they going to do? Just change every single one of those things per game?
Yeah, I
Because then
guess.
suddenly that one becomes bad, and then the one that you're going to start using, the Harlequin one, suddenly becomes much better because it can give you more than the one CP
I guess
back.
it's true.
It's a hard thing to adjust. Now, the other major change that I feel they should do, and I hope they do, and hopefully by now it's been revealed that it happened.
That's reduce the points for Dark Reapers. I think we've all waited long
fuck-
enough.
fuck
so, I mean, the day is here, right?
No. Dark Reapers are fine. No, I feel and this was one that's been suggested and bounced around a lot, is to make it so super heavy auxiliary detachments, that's the typical one Castellan or one Knight that you see in certain armies, doesn't get access to Warlord traits, relics, and stratagems.
You mentioned this before, and I think it's interesting. It is, it kind of means that you have to commit to it. And it's kind of like how the other auxiliary detachment, you can't actually pull stratagems and relics from that. Or maybe it might not be relics. It might just be actually just stratagems.
It's stratagems, yeah.
But it feels like that would work the same way with super heavy auxiliary as well.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to a point where it would make it so that a Castellan is still a great option, but it's not horrendously strong as just a single unit investment as it is in many of the top tier lists at present.
And it would require more investment into that actual detachment. It doesn't overall nerf the Castellan. It just means you have to actually invest in 2 Helverins or 2 more Knights.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the very least, it means you're spending a minimum of 340 plus points additional in that detachment because that's the price of 2 Helverins
to get that sweet Castellan.
to get a Castellan and or Castellan, whatever the hell you weird pronunciations. That, I mean, and 340 points, that's a significant investment. So like that actually makes you have to have a knight detachment other than just having a single knight. Now I don't know if that's going to affect super heavies for chaos as well, but I feel it should, because I don't know if a lot of people know about the chaos stratagem that they have for their knights, but the reroll hits and wounds is ridiculous.
They got their own like G-Man for the knights for whatever reason,
for
a little mini one.
Double gatling knight. Wow.
Reroll hits and reroll wounds. Why not? What could go wrong?
But yeah, I mean, most of the armies, even the list that won BAO, Don Huson's list, he still had the full investment of 2 Helverins in addition to his Chaos Knight, so he would already be ahead of the curl with a list like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that is an odd but interesting limiter to what's currently being abused. But, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
So very interested to see what will happen or has already happened as time catches up for Andrew and I.
And obviously, everything in NIDS is dropping by 30 points.
Yep, of course. Everything in NIDS is dropping. And strangely, everything in Necrons went up 30 points.
Yeah.
Like, it was real. Like, no one saw it coming.
Super
and it was
swingy.
like, why? Necron-
A warrior costs 40 points.
Yeah. The Necrons, you know, I believe Necron players are actually kind of following the narrative path of the Necron race, where now they're seeking out the Star Gods to take dark vengeance against Games Workshop. So what a weird twist of fate happened there. And again, Dark Reaper's dropping points. Crazy, right?
No, it's not.
No,
it's never going to happen.
If anything,
Jay.
they're going to go up more points. Probably Shining Spears too. Let's be honest.
I mean, it's again one army that's still shenanigans.
The
with
Ynnari?
It's Ynnari.
Ynnari.
I will say that is the one other major change I could see happening, is that a preemptive change to Ynnari maybe getting their own book is that Ynnari no longer gaining access to craft world abilities. Because that's another thing that's been widely discussed of why does this exist?
Why do they get the and it's not abilities, just to clarify, it's the stratagems.
The stratagems,
use,
yes.
which is just like, why?
But they're Ynnari, that's supposed to like override all craft worlds.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's very odd, and like I do really hope that Ynnari get a codex sometimes before the end of this year, because there has been rumors out there for a little while now that they're working on another Eldari book. Since we already have the other 3, it would make sense that it would be Ynnari.
Yeah.
And also Ynnari should have a book, because they do have units. And fundamentally, they are a big part of the Eldari fluff right now.
Like the whole story of the game, they're a major player.
Yeah, I mean, Yvraine was instrumental in bringing G-Man back.
Yeah.
So, like, probably give her a data slate entry.
I think the one other thing that we can mention is that possibly there's been a change to Agents of Vect, because that's the other one that's been bouncing around the water cooler, is that Agents of Vect having some kind of limiter, whether it's a once per game or a once per battle round, or it costs 3 CP but there's no die roll.
I think the once per battle round would be interesting, because I think that would retain, it would still retain its power and its heft, but then you're not like vecting like everything for like every phase in a row.
You can't just totally shut down a turn,
a player's turn. Yeah, because I think at the very high competitive level, I don't think Vect is truly a significant problem, but I think at like, you know, either middle competitive or like casual play, I think Vect can really sour some people's experiences in games, because the reason why at the very highest level competitive play, at least right now, like the armies they're going up against is the Castellan with 1 billion command points.
It's 2 things. It's either they're spending too much command points for you to be able to vect anything accurately, or their army is entirely non-reliant on stratagems.
On it. So like either way, the Vect doesn't really play as much of a part of that. But when you're at like let's say middle competitive level, or you're in casual play where like people just want to have a good time, Vect can kind of feel like pretty brutal.
I mean, we've mentioned multiple times on this podcast that armies are defined by their stratagems, because it makes you a general, and for an army to just have a nope card for like
nope never feels good.
Stratagems, nope never feels good.
It never feels good in a lot of games, you know. In this other, I think like when psychic powers, I hear that somewhere in the universe people use things called magic. I don't know what that is, but
is that like sorcery? Is that close to the Thousand Suns?
Maybe. But like I hear like there was like they played this game in their spare time. I think the Thousand Suns used to actually play this game in their spare time called Magic. and you could do this spell called Counterspell, and everybody loved it because it meant that you couldn't actually play things.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that game because what came to mind was a game that it sounds very brutal. It's called Exploding Kittens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
apparently there's a card in that game that's just called Nope that just denies you at being able to do something.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is just
true.
like,
But that is the game that the Thousand Sons play, and we could continue talking about it, but I believe the Harlequins here in the Black Library would not enjoy it.
I mean, even the Imperium would call it heresy pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So,
So maybe we should move on to our favorite segment, Seizes of the Month, where you and I talk about how we screwed up in a previous tournament, and, not too crazy of a tournament this last month, right?
Okay. So... Oh, man. All right. So Jay and I decided to do 2 experiments.
Yes. This was really fun, actually, because you and I, at the same time, without talking about it, just completely threw out our lists that we had spent a long time making, you especially. And we were just like, you know what? We're just going to do 2 bonkers experimental lists and try it out at our local tournament.
Turns out mine was far more crazy and far less sound, and it didn't go so well.
You had a very mad scientist-y moment. You were like, yes, I've discovered the secret of life.
So I decided to run Tau for this tournament.
Now, Andrew, that's not, I wouldn't say that's crazy. There wasn't like a particular unit you decided to focus on, was there?
I may or may not have brought a 9 crisis suit single unit list.
Which I want to clarify for everybody who doesn't know about the crisis suit. It's the most OP thing in the Tau Codex?
Okay, so crisis suits are
Point
the
for point?
most... They are what Tau are known for. Like they've got the Tau chutzpah.
And that's true. They are like on the cover, like if you had to do like a poster of Tau, it'd be a crisis suit coming down with all of its guns.
Their codex cover is a crisis suit.
That's very true.
Or, a Tau commander, but it's
they're
still
in
a crisis
a
suit.
type of crisis suit.
Yeah, so like their battle suits their mechs are definitely their thing, and crisis suits most of their battle suits are in a very bad way right now. Most of them are not well point costed, they don't have great rules, and in general, when you think that Tau's one gimmick is shooting, and a guy in a super advanced battle shoots the same as a guardsman.
Now, Andrew, you've historically on this podcast insisted that Tau should shoot at 5+. Is that right? I feel like that's a little bit going too hard on them.
I'm gonna hit you.
But I'm a big believer that maybe their suit should be 3+. But
yeah, I strongly feel that every battle suit in Tau should be at minimum a 3+ ballistic skill. And I say at minimum because there are so many minuses in the game these days. I mean, even Eldar has just a flat -1 stratagem, and people are like...
You mean not even a stratagem. You mean a -1 faction.
Oh, they have a -1 faction, but I mean, they have a stratagem that inflicts another -1.
I was going to say even worse. Like, you don't even have to pay any points. You're just like, yeah, those are a late talk. They're -1.
And people are like, oh, but marker lights can override that. I'm like, whoa. Most of the people that I've interacted that say that have not read what the current marker light system is. Now, granted, marker lights no longer go away from a single unit using them, which is a big plus.
Which is great.
And it also makes a lot more sense because they're just marking something. It doesn't go away. The downside is to actually get the bonuses to hit, you need 5 minimum marker lights, and to get 5 minimum marker lights on one or even multiple targets is very difficult, especially with the minuses in the game.
And I think, like, from the points that you suggested for Tau, I think, like, obviously this isn't a point to, like, make Tau what they were in 7th edition, which they went a little far with, like, the Riptide Wing, and they did some really bonker stuff where, like, Tau got a little overly frustrating. I think the thing is that, like, Tau right now are doing well. Like, I don't think I've heard them win a tournament, but they usually place pretty high.
Well, they're just they've been in the same limbo they've been in for like since 5th edition, where they do very well in mid-tier but can never really escalate to top tier.
They've never been the top of a tournament, at least in a while, at least from what we've seen and what we've heard about. But and it's mostly because I think it's not as much like take them up such a high power level, but I think it's give them more in their list to play with, because really you only kind of see the same list in the top tier with a lot of these games.
Yeah, and I mean, they only interact in one phase of the game. They interact in shooting. They have no psychic. They have no psychic defense. They have
Which I think was a massive miss. They used to have psychic defense. They should at least have a way to deny. I mean, geez, Drukhari have a way to deny, and they don't do any psychic powers. Necrons have a way to deny, and they don't do any psychic powers.
Yeah, I mean, they used to have, if you don't know the previous Tau, they used to have a relic called the Talisman of Arthas Malik, which was essentially hinted at but very likely Necron relic that gave them like a bubble of every unit within a certain range can deny.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they lost their entire 4th sphere to the warp. You'd think after you lose an entire sphere advance, like, which, if you don't know about the Tau Society, and I believe we've talked about this in previous episodes, but if you're just joining us, the Tau, they advance in all directions because they don't have...
That's why they call them spheres of expansion.
Because they just kind of just whoop in one big circle.
They don't have warp travel because they don't have psychers, and they haven't discovered means like a webway in order to like bypass a lot of the dangers of the warp.
And you'd think for an entire sphere expansion to disappear into the warp, you'd be like, I think we need to create some technology to protect us from the warp.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And they have like allies, which, you know, a lot of people have said, oh, you know, when Allies of Tau comes out, whenever that book maybe ever gets released, then they'll have the Nikasar, which are like Cthulhu people, and they, you know, but far less malevolent.
Right.
And
cute Cthulhu people.
They are psychers. I think the biggest missed opportunity, honestly, was Kroot. Because Kroot, even in the fluff, when they've eaten Eldar Psychers, have become powerful empaths.
I just really want a Kroot Codex.
I do as
so
well.
Cool.
They're my favorite race in the game, and they are just god-awful in the book. Like, they're near unusable.
So, obviously, there's some opportunity, and hopefully, in Chapter Approved, Tau gets a little bit of love. Hopefully, the Crisis Suit especially gets a little bit of love. Because I do think there are things in their codex that are strong, and Riptide seem to do very well, and the Fire Warriors are pretty good, point for point.
Well, Fire Warrior is their best unit.
Yeah, it's amazing. But the old Crisis Suit is...
So we've gotten way off track of going off on a tangent of problems of Tau. So, okay, I brought a very unconventional Tau list to this tournament. I brought a crap ton of Strength 5. I had a 9-man unit of Crisis Suits, all with double burst cannon and Velocity Tracker, which, if you don't know, Velocity Tracker gives them a +1 to hit against things that fly, which, like, half the game flies, so it's very useful. I had 3 units of Stealth Suits, all with a burst cannon and the Velocity Tracker, and the reason I give them this item is because it's +1 to hit against half the game, and it's only 2 points. So, like, it's a very good investment. Keeps them cheap, which I think is the way that you need to play a lot of Tau stuff, because a lot of their stuff is too expensive. And if you just keep them cheaper, then you can take more of it, essentially making them, which is very counterintuitive to, like, their fluff, a Boys Before Toys army, since they're, like, entirely designed to be a toys army.
Yeah,
it's weird.
That is a good point, actually.
So that had a Cold Star, had a couple other things, but let's focus on this Crisis Suit unit. So I had this idea, and I gave the entire Crisis Suit unit to shield drones. So they have an 18-man shield drone unit.
Just a little accompaniment of, like, little floating,
just to give them survivability, but it just didn't work. There's a lot of problems with the army with regards to just general damage output and being able to take on certain big targets, and even just getting the investment of the +1 to wound stratagem from Tau, which is actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to do. It's a 3 CP stratagem.
It's so expensive.
With an army that can't get a lot of stratagem unless you spam the hell out of Fire Warriors. And their only way to get CP back is on a 6+ per stratagem, not even per CP. So it's just, like, not great, and a lot of the times I'd only be able to do it once per game, and then it wouldn't do enough to really, like, shift it. So this was the first tournament I've gone to in years, perhaps, that I lost all 3 games, and a couple of them were real bad, like real bad. Like, I even got great first turns. I played, ironically, in round 1, a buddy of mine who is the only other Tau player.
Yeah.
And we got matched against each other round 1. And I had the initiative. I had turn 1, and I blew almost all of his Fire Warriors away. And he had 3 Riptides, because that's the standard strategy, is to have 3 Riptides in your back line. And his 3 Riptides then proceeded for the rest of the game to just rip my army to pieces. Yeah. And it got to a point where there's just no possible way of me dealing with the Riptides with, 14 wounds, 2+ save, and the amount of firepower that they have. And he also did the smart thing, which is he gave them an ATS, which is an advanced targeting system, which applies an additional -1 on all AP on all of their weapons, which makes their auto 2 damage Gatling gun AP -3, which was just like, holy shnikes, that's too much. So that, there's no real C's for this month other than it was just not a sound list. The list was just not well put together. It was an experimental list, and sometimes the experiments go very wrong. Yeah. And sometimes things just don't end up working the way you hope they would.
But I think it's still a valid thing to try, and I think to take away from this is that, I think if you have an idea, you shouldn't just let the paper decide. I think it's always still important to test.
I think, yes. Every unit in the game needs to get tested at least once, usually more than once, so that we can really determine what actually does need to be changed, because too many lists that we're seeing are just repeats of the same type of thing over and over again. And it's hard to say what's good and what's not when not enough is actually being tried.
Yeah.
So, tried it.
Do you feel like you've gotten the crisis suit bug out of your system at this point?
Until they get changed, yeah. They're definitely on the back burner. I love crisis suits. I think if they had got a point drop and if they were ballistic skill 3+, they would be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And it's just some minor changes to them.
Yeah. And inherently they're cool. They're 3 wounds apiece, which is good.
T5,
they
3+
T5,
save.
3+ save. They fly, which is awesome. Just the idea they can move out of combat when they get tied down and just blast things. It's so cool, and the models are so cool, and the lore behind it is so cool. It's the points that it just doesn't support the unit as well as it wants to.
Yeah, the points and the one stat change, I think, is very important to them.
Do you think it's because they felt that the crazy support that drones can offer Riptides, because drones for Riptides is amazing, that they felt the same thing would apply to crisis suits? Because, I think the big miss there is Riptides can really benefit more from drones than crisis suits, because Riptides want to stay back, and they can take the advantage of cover and hiding all your drones behind cover, but close enough to pop the wounds on the Riptide, and then you have a really amazing shield with all those drones, while crisis suits have to be in your face and have to get close to you, and you can't hide the drones, and the drones can just get wrecked.
Yeah, well, the fact that all Riptides of every variation have a native 2+ save, a native toughness 7, and a native invul of any respect, makes them a level of resilience that is uncommon with all of the rest of Tau. And to integrate, shield drones, which are very strong, and the way you keep them alive, into a list that has any type of Riptide, whether it's a Riptide or a Yavara or a Ravarna or any of those units that can take and use drones, the fact that they have such native toughness and then the drones as well means that anything that you invest into trying to kill them, it makes it exponentially harder with drones, whereas crisis suits, do you want to really bounce a damage 2 shot to a drone on a crisis suit when it's still gonna live, but then you're it just gets to a point where it's either all one way or all the other way. And yes, them having to be closer to a unit means that the drones are far more vulnerable, and the enemy can just do what a Necron player did to me, which is just turn 1, kill all the drones, and then the crisis suits are just ripe pickings.
Yeah, and then they're gonna get taken out.
The army just needs a slight adjustment. It needs a slight change in how it functions, and it needs to be far less reliant as to how it's written on Markolites, because they made Markolites harder to use.
Right.
And I think that slight adjustment then could make the army really interesting, and also if it has the ability to interact in other phases more actively would be cool.
Which would be nice.
It's just I like the idea of a Gundam in 40K that has the fusion blade, which is just it's literally a super death energy sword type of thing.
Yeah.
Being able to fly in the sky and take out flyers and
I guess,
stuff.
how do you feel about, like, with, like, an Allies of Tau? And now we're just kind of, like, spitballing. This is not based on anything. But, like, if they did really release an Allies of Tau or even a Kroot Dex or just something that added in... Because Kroot could be, if they really added a couple more models to that line or allies to Tau, you could have either your Allies of Tau, Squid People for Psychic... And for Kroot, you could really have, like, a unit that is, like, a good, punchy, close combat, like a Zangor bomb
Yes.
or something like that, or a Witch bomb. Like,
Well, Kroot should be combat-based,
Yeah.
and they're not. And it's weird that they're not. Even Kroot Hounds, which only have combat, are still native strength 3. And it's just like, yeah, they're cheap, but they also, die to a stiffed wind, which in this game where it's all kill points, like, that's not a good unit to have.
And you could give them cool stuff, like they kill, kind of like it's a progressive board like Dark Eldar have or Drukhari have, where, like, if you kill something, you get a higher toughness.
They should
like
have an
combat.
Eaters. They should have an Eaters of the Dead.
It could basically
ability.
be like combat drugs, but you can only activate it after you kill your first unit, and then you pick something.
And it should be units in combat. It should be they kill things in combat and they eat them. And then they get it. They should have an Eaters of the Dead ability. But here's the thing: is, like, even with Allies of Tau, I've thought about this a lot. That still doesn't solve the problem that the actual Tau have. I think that the army of Tau, the race of Tau, still needs to get changed in some respect, and then you can have its allies fill a couple holes, like have Kroot be combat, maybe Nikasar be psychic and stuff like that. That to fill other phases of the game. But that doesn't... The Tau should still be good at what they do, and they're not.
I feel like they should be bad at everything, though, right? Just kidding, obviously.
But yeah, I mean, I think if you do some slight readjustments and everything, the army could be very interesting. Anyways,
Yeah.
So you also brought an experimental idea
I did.
to this tournament.
I did.
And it went slightly better.
It went slightly better for me.
You won.
I won the tournament, which is very surprising. It doesn't happen often on this podcast, for sure.
You also dipped your toe into a deep end.
Oh, yes.
That you've
I've
avoided.
I've avoided for a long time, and I can tell you that this new list that I brought will probably be my list until, I don't know, it fails horribly against something, but, like...
I could see this being your LVO list.
Like, I really, really like this list a lot, for a lot of different reasons, so I'll talk about it. This list, I'm calling it the Clown Council, because it's alliteration and it's fun. But basically, you can probably already guess, maybe just from that name, what the ingredients are.
It has some kind of council in it.
Some kind of council in it.
And it also have clowns.
Kind of clown. But basically, this is only a 2-detachment army, which I don't think I've made in a very long time. For
No.
a while, I've always just been doing the 3 detachments. In some cases, I'm like, if only I could fit one more detachment in there.
One important change from his previous list is this no longer has any Drukhari.
No Drukhari. And I think it was a little bit because when we did the Hammer of Wrath tournament, I brought my Venoms, and I brought all the Kabalite warriors with blasters. I did Agents of Vect and stuff like that. And, like, yes, from last month's recording, you could tell that my last 2 games did go a bit sideways. I don't think the 4th game really went that sideways. It was more or less the last one went pretty wild.
Yeah,
Which also wasn't the fault of the Drukhari detachment. It was really just I completely misplayed, plus Kegarok decided to...
inflict insanity
on me and do crazy things. But I just more or less, I've always been a fan of Craft Worlds and Harlequins more than I have Drukhari. And that's not saying, like, that Drukhari are bad.
Listen, Drukhari can just not be your thing.
Yeah, it's just not my style. And I even when I built my list that had Drukhari in it, and you know this, Andrew, because you saw the models, they're in fact in eye view right now, but the Kabalite warriors, I put Harlequin masks on all of them because my own little internal fluff behind that was like, these are Harlequins and, that are basically integrating themselves into Drukhari for reconnaissance means. But, like, I've always been more of a fan of that in Craft Worlds than I have of the fluff of Drukhari.
There's a reason why we don't play Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
And one of the major reasons is we play armies based off of model lines, and he and I are just not that big of fans of the spiky bits.
The spiky
we don't
stuff,
play
yeah.
the spiky armies. Like, it's just not really our thing. Now, ironically, I play Tyranids, but, like, at least they're, like, functional, natural spikiness.
Yeah, they're natural
Where,
spikes.
like, it's an organism, even though they're engineered. Like it's still
you're not into the faux spikes.
It's
you know,
not
we're,
faux
we're all
spikes.
natural spikes here.
It's not like accessory spikes.
That's
These are like, hey man, I was born with this. I was born like 20 minutes ago, but I was still born.
But I was
with
still
this.
born with these spikes. And you got to respect it. But yeah. So essentially, I went back to trying to find a core list that didn't have Drukhari. Also, I didn't want to. And this is strange to say, like, I also didn't want to utilize Agents of Vect. Now, this isn't me standing on a soapbox being like, I can do it without Agents of Vect, or like, I don't think it's right for the game. That's not what I'm saying. I actually, when I played in the previous Hammer of Wrath tournament, I noticed I had this weird anxiety in a lot of the games to use Agents of Vect.
It's amazing how much decision paralysis that stratagem causes on a player.
And when you play...
the person using it,
the person using it, because the other person has no say, right? That it's being used on them. But like when using Agents of Vect, there is this weird mental like gymnastics you're doing because you're looking at all these stratagems being used, and now you can interact with them. So now it's putting additional stress and anxiety on which ones are the right ones to counter. Right?
Whereas you are far better, even though you like to claim you're a general, to just praise Khorne and be bloodthirsty
and just be bloodthirsty
and
just murder and not have to think. Who thinks about strategy, right? No, that's not to say this new list didn't have strategy, or that obviously I utilize strategy to win the majority of my games. But yeah, I think Agents of Vect also in its own way can be a bit of like a trap because, and other people have said this before too, but really playing it, I do feel it. Like you are spending 3 CP on sometimes to just stop 1 CP. And yes, it can be a key moment. It can change things in the game, but it adds this extra stress that when you play 3 games in a day or more, depending on the tournament, that will weigh on you game after game, turn after turn, and you will make less strategic decisions. And any additional stress you're putting on that engine that's fueling your strategy can impact the game.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example of how I can point this out is in my last game of Hammer of Wrath, going against a Drukhari Harlequins Eldari list. I was playing my Death Watch, and I had a knight, and I was playing the Zombie Knight. And he was literally sitting on 4 CP for the last 3 turns, just waiting for that to happen, and not even realizing that I had gone past my 2 CP threshold of being able to resurrect him.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even do it anymore, and he was still sitting on it, waiting for it, and it like a whole turn had gone by of me not having enough CP to Zombie Knight him, and him realizing like, I could have been using this whole time. I didn't even realize because I had this stress of just like, I gotta wait for Zombie Knight. I can't let it resurrect.
And you also have this additional stress of not wanting to use other stratagems because you want to save them for Vect.
Because it's expensive. It's 3 CP is a lot. It's a big investment.
So with everything like what we kind of talked about a little bit earlier with Vect and even just how I feel about using it, I was just, I just want to kind of remove it. And honestly, that's the reason I brought Drukhari into my army because I wanted to use Agents of Vect.
Vect. You were there for Vect.
Fundamentally, if I'm not knocking people who use it, it's an amazing stratagem, obviously. It just strategically for me and how I like to play, my comfort level, it just wasn't really working for me.
It's a tier in your pool that you don't normally access, and therefore it's not native to you, and it just doesn't work towards your pool. And
exactly.
Like we all have certain pools of strategy that we draw from and work more to our strengths, and that was just one that was more foreign to you. And I mean, getting rid of it obviously still worked out fine.
Yeah, it worked out fine.
So
let me talk a little bit about my list. It's very, very simple. The clown part of my clown council is 3 units of Skyweavers. It was 2 6-man units and 1 3-man unit. It was then a troop master, and it was...
you need an HQ.
Because you need an HQ. I think it's Outrider or...
Outrider is the fast attack one.
Is the fast attack, yeah. So it was Outrider... And then a Solitaire, because
Solitaire is
amazing. He's almost an auto-include in every Harlequin's detachment.
I am on the fence of arguing that he's one of the point-for-point best characters in the game.
He's 98 points, and he's just a super character missile. Now, he's only 5 wounds, but holy crap, does he do work.
5 wounds with a 3+ invulnerable save, and
a million attacks.
And he
can fly across the field, and he literally does fly, so like he can just jump over
goes wherever he
wants.
He's also, it's important to point out, he's only on a 32mm base, which means he's so easy to hide and so easy to go over lines and like tuck him into little places where you're like, well, you left a nice little gap here. Here's 20 attacks. Oh, God.
He's amazing. And in fact, I was on the edge of bringing him in the army and actually talking to you, Andrew. You were the one who was like, dude, like, yeah, I include
Are
solitaire.
Are you dumb?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I am dumb. So he stayed in the list.
No,
and-
he's as you said, he's a missile that for 98 points, he's like a steal. And the fact that it's how you can manipulate the items that are on him is what's so strong. Because there's 2 relics that on him specifically, Kegarok's Rose or the Starmus Raiment, which is the knives fucking...
No, not the knives one. The Starmus Raiment is just, it gives, like, if he advances, or maybe he doesn't have to advance, but he gets a 3-up invul, but if he does advance, you can't overwatch him. And
yes.
he's a great Swiss Army knife for that, like if you're fighting Tau, for example.
All clowns can advance and still charge.
Yep.
So
if you're fighting a shooting heavy army, or somebody with a big flamethrower or something, and you need him to lock it down, boom, put the Starmus Raiment on him, and he shuts a unit down.
Yeah, now this is still, it's funny that you mentioned Tau, this is still hasn't been fully determined and needs to get FAQ'd with regards to their rule of multiple things being able to overwatch.
The greater good.
For the greater good. If the target can't overwatch, can the for the greater good units overwatch? And it's unclear. And usually in tournaments, it's being ruled as no, they can't because they're being treated as the target unit.
Which I would agree.
I would agree with as well, but then also that prevents a problem because that's literally their entire army ride rule now being negated. So it's just like, yeah. But yes, the Solitaire is amazing.
Yeah.
He's so good.
So that's the Clown detachment. And obviously it does really well. Like, all the Sky Weavers are great for killing infantry. Their strength 4, -1 AP. It's great.
D6 shots each with a 3++ skill. Fantastic.
They can advance and charge.
And of course against vehicles, they're unbelievable.
And the detachment I took was Dreaming Shadow, because it's amazing. If you don't know what the Dreaming Shadow faction for Harlequins does, is if they die, their mask, right? That's what it's called. And every time one model, not a unit, every time a model dies, you roll a die on a 4+, so 50% chance for this to happen, they can shoot again.
Yeah.
And it's
or attack
once. One attack or shoot with one gun, where really you're using it for the Sky Weavers so they can shoot their D6 Haywire guns again.
4+ chance to make them a Noise Marine.
Which is amazing.
Super good.
So basically, it's almost like having, if I have 15 Sky Weavers, it's like having another 7.5 Sky Weavers in there. It's great. And it's great against Knights, which is still prevalent in the meta, unless, of course, the FAQ happened and everyone's freaking out and something happened. Who knows?
Knights aren't going away.
I think Knights are still going to be around.
Yeah.
But they're for Knights and also for vehicles. Orktober is upon us. And if anything's been indicated from Speed Freaks and Gorka, Morka, Norka Nuts or whatever.
Stompy Orcs and Speed Freaks are going to be a thing.
Vehicles are still going to be around, and they're great. I mean, like, Drukhari are big on vehicles, the Ravagers and all the Disintegrators. And
I could see, Goff Battle Wagon Rush be coming back.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just...
Like, vehicles are still always going to be present. So, and I think Skyweavers, 1, are so durable. They're -1 to hit. They're 3 wounds. They can shoot again if they die.
The unlimited range -1 with a 4+ invul.
And a 4+ invul. Like solid,
Jesus.
very, very durable unit. Now, for the Council part of the Clown Council is also a very interesting build. It's got 3 Rangers... 3 Ranger units in there for
It's a
Craft
battalion.
Worlds. It's the battalion.
Yeah.
It's Alatok or Latok. I don't know. We got a lot of people correcting us on how we pronounce it. I still don't remember how to pronounce it now.
I think it's Alatok.
I think it's Alatok.
Yeah.
But 3 Ranger units to give me my troops. And Rangers are amazing. They can redeploy their snipers so they can shoot characters.
Especially in Alatok, -2 to hit.
And because they infiltrate, I can see how the enemy is deployed so then I can create screens or I can, whatever. They're great.
Useful.
They're
very
amazing.
useful.
And then I had, for my 2 HQs, 3 HQs.
Yes.
I had...
There may have been adjustments going forward.
Yep. There's adjustments going forward for sure. And I really like the list where it is now, but it's only been slightly tweaked. But it's a Autarch on a bike with a laser lance and a Banshee mask, a Farseer on a bike with a Singing Spear, and then the Council, a full Seer Council Warlock Conclave of 10 Warlocks.
Yep.
On Skyrunners.
3 wounds each.
3 wounds apiece.
4+ invul
4+
save.
invul save.
I'm seeing a theme here of 4+ invul save and -1 to hit and 3 wounds.
Yeah, Alatok, they're all -1 to hit. And
beyond 12 inches.
Beyond 12 inches. And now, some people are like, Seer Council. That was a
also,
thing.
they all have Singing Spears.
Yes, they all have Singing Spears. And they all have twin-link shuriken catapults. But let's talk a little bit about this. Because the Council is the thing that really made this list so fun to play, and also the experimental part of it, because truly when you and I were talking about it, we were both creating like separate, like almost bombs unto themselves. You were creating a crisis suit bomb, mine was a Seer Council bomb.
Okay, so the pool we mentioned that he's dipped his toe into it's the Death Star pool,
a little bit.
This is almost 1,000-point investment in this unit.
Guys, the Warlock Conclave, this Warlock Conclave Skyrunners, right? This is them on the bikes with a singing spear each, is 700 points.
Yeah.
I did not know you can make a 700-point unit in the Eldar Codex. You can. It's the Warlock Conclave Skyrunners with 10 dudes, each with singing spears. It is crazy expensive, and also when people like saw it at the tournament, they were like, "Oh, I was thinking about a Warlock Conclave, but it looked really expensive," and it is. It definitely is.
And that's 700 points, not counting the characters that are always escorting them.
Yep. And when you factor in the Autarch and the Farseer, that's essentially in that bubble of Warlock Conclave Skyrunners.
It's over 900 points.
It's like over 900 points. It's almost 1,000 points. That's like half the army right there in a single unit.
Death Star.
Guys, it is really strong, and it is really fun to play, because the Warlock Conclave, if you don't know this, can cast 3 psychic powers in a turn when it's above 7 dudes. And also, they know 2 psychic powers along with Smite. And depending on who you play, I would mostly give them Conceal as one of their powers, and I'd mostly give them Protect, which is, the inverse of Conceal is Reveal, which nobody uses, forget about it, but the inverse of Protect is Jinx, and they act as different psychic powers. So in a single turn, they can Jinx something, they can protect themselves, and they can conceal themselves. What's amazing about that is Protect turns the entire Warlock Conclave. Again, each of these guys are 3 wounds and -1 to hit already.
With a 4+ invul.
With a 4+ invul. And Protect turns them into a 3+ invul, -1 to hit, 3 wounds, and Conceal adds another -1 to shooting. So they are a -2, and then because this is probably the unit your opponent's going to shoot, you throw lightning fast reactions on them, they are a -3, 3+ invulnerable, 3 wound apiece, pain in the ass unit to
and
shoot.
then also, if you have a Farseer,
Which you do, you throw Fortune on them. So they are 3+ invul, -3 to hit,
with disgustingly
5+
resilient.
feel no pain, disgustingly resilient. Yeah. Oh, buddy! And the output. Because don't forget, even though they have singing spears, which I'll get to in a second, because people laughed about those when they saw it, but I'll talk about it when you really work out the math. But they have, under each of those little bikes, they've got a twin-link shuriken catapult, which is 4 shots apiece. You're pumping out 40 shots from this unit.
And your Farseer could also take, if you wanted to, take guide on them, and it's a full re-rolling 40 shots.
And then Singing Spears is the real magic. People are like, what? Singing Spears? Nobody takes that on these guys. Now, I get it. I feel the same way.
If you have like 1 or 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2, it's 5
cares?
points. You can spend it elsewhere, right? But when you got a whole unit of 10 and you're throwing 10 Singing Spears at something, like for example, in my second game, at some Taloses, which Taloses are historically like hard to kill.
Super
right?
strong.
Or Knights even. When you throw 10 at them at something, and they gotta, like, let's say make 7 wounds against them, and they fail half, because they only got a 4+ invul, or they got a 3+ save, because it doesn't have an AP. But if you fail a bunch of them, you're now rolling 3 or 4 D3 damage, and that's where it starts to get wild.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that, especially if you throw something like Guide on them, it's 10 Singing Spears hitting on 3s, re-rolling, and then they wound on 2s against everything. This was the funniest part of the phone call that Jay had to me, is that he was like, I totally forgot. This is 7th edition mentality.
Yep.
Where in 8th edition, they made the change to all witch weapons, that they just wound everything on the game
everything
on a 2.
2. Now, in 7th edition, it was only like
Non-vehicles.
Non-vehicles. Vehicles, they only wounded them on 6s.
Yeah.
And I still thought in the back of my head that
or
was still
had
a
like
thing.
a strength. I think they had like a 3-time strength.
I think
mechanic
that
on
might
them.
have been it. Yeah. And that's why Singing Spears are like strength 9, even though they wound everything on 2+ now, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because you can't instant kill anything anymore, so I don't know why they have a strength
It
9.
should be strength star.
Who cares? But anyways, it's amazing. You can wound anything on a 2. That's incredible. In close combat, when this unit charges in, that's 20 attacks that hit on 3s, rerolling 1s because the Autarch is there, and wounding on 2s.
And that's if you also don't take...
You can take Enhance, which in close combat, you take that instead of Conceal, right? So instead, if you're playing a close combat army, like let's say Nurgle, which I'll get into in a little bit, you give them +1 to hit, which means they're now 2+ing in close combat, rerolling 1s, and they're 2+ing to wound and rerolling 1s if you've doomed something, or if you've used the Farseer's ability Runes of Witnessing, which you can use in close combat. And you can do this thing called Supreme Disdain. Some Craft World Eldar players will know about this, where on a 6+, if you roll a 6+ to hit, if you pop this 1 CP stratagem, you can do an extra attack, which means if you use Enhance, now on a 5+, you're basically getting Death to the False Emperor on 5+s with this unit of 20 attacks that are all D3 damage wounding on 2+s. So you're starting to see why this unit might be worth 700
Yeah,
points.
they have no AP, but here's the thing. It balances out because they wound everything on 2s, that they're inflicting enough saves that even if they were AP -3, if you're only doing 5 attacks versus 20 attacks that have no AP, but it's 20 attacks that wound on 2s.
And also take into account they can cast Jinx. So that's where you get the -1 AP by throwing Jinx on something. And now, like, let me tell you, I played 3 different matches that day, and I basically played against 3 armies that I was very worried about.
Yeah, the only army you didn't want to fight, and it was because you were limited by 3 games, was a full Knights list.
Yeah.
You only played 3 games because it was a 3-game tournament.
And even then, I would actually argue a full Knights list I would have been happier to play other than the things that I actually played, because I got so much haywire.
Yeah.
But basically, first game I played was essentially a mirror match. Now I didn't play, when I say mirror match, I mean armies types, like factions.
He was against Eldari.
I was against an Eldari player. I wasn't playing Seer Council. I don't see anybody playing that. Basically, I went up against a mix of Harlequin Bikes, which I have, Shining Spears, which are nasty.
Yep.
And finally, Drukhari Ravagers and Planes, which is everywhere, right? It's just basically a list full of Disintegrators, Shining Spears, and Skyweavers. Like, gross Eldari mix.
Yeah, a lot of out shooting and then one really nasty combat unit.
And thanks to me getting Psychic Powers off in turn 1, the Warlock Conclave unit, 2 died, and the entire army shot, and the Shining Spears charged and shot, everything, and only 2 Warlock Conclaves died. And then I left combat, because again, everything in this army has fly, so you can't trap it, and then I just proceeded to kill a bunch of stuff. So that was game 1. Game 2, I played a Drukhari list, like the max crazy Drukhari list you see now, with it had 8 Talos, 3 Ravagers, 2 Razor Wings, I think whatever the planes are that can get Disintegrators.
I think the Void Raven Bombers is what they are.
Oh, is it the Bombers? I think it's the Razor Wings that can get the Disintegrators. It didn't use a bomb, so I don't think it was the Bombers.
Okay, so he didn't use bombs, so he did a slight alteration, which is the Razor Wing jet fighters, which...
But basically, a mass Disintegrator list with 8 Taloses. And like, oh boy, the Drukhari player was very surprised because Talos, they just take punches from everything and never die.
Yep.
The Warlock Conclave was just clearing like wheat through Talos units with 40 shots, singing spears, jinxing, and then going in close combat and doing 1 million damage. Like, it was just clearing out units while the Haywire guys were killing all the planes and the Ravagers. So, pretty good game there. The last one, though, was against what are they called? They call them the Bash Bros,
Bash
right?
Bros.
The
Magnus and Mortarion.
Magnus and Mortarion, which I was also terrified to play, because this is a list that is counter to my Psychic Bomb, because it's a bunch of Psychic with Mortarion and Magnus. Magnus being he has a +2 to deny.
Yeah, undamaged. 3 denial, +2 to deny.
And this guy is a great player. He had like all the great Nurgle stuff with Magnus in there to support with Psychic Powers. And this is where my C's comes in, because I've talked a lot about the positives and how I am very excited about this list. I'm interested to see where it goes from here. But really, let's get into the heart of the C's. And there was one thing that happened in the middle of this game that threw me for a complete loop. So let me talk about the game. Magnus comes up, the trading goes well, and I end up killing Magnus. Next turn, Mortarion comes up. He goes to do a warp time. The warp time doesn't go off, so Mortarion kind of stays in the center of the board in this big, like, basically ruins piece. And in the ruins piece is a unit right next to Mortarion, which is very key, and I'll get to in a second. May
or may not know what this is.
May or may not know what this is. I put my army just right up against in front of Mortarion. I've got my whole Seer Council, which is my Warlock Conclave, with in the middle my Autarch and my Farseer right in the center. They're powered up. I threw Doom on Mortarion. I threw Jinx on Mortarion. My Solitaire was right next to the Warlock Conclave as well, ready to charge in, because I figured, I'm not going to kill him in shooting. I'm going to have to bring him down in close combat. But I was ready. I had the weight of attacks. I had all the singing spears you could ask for. I was ready to do this, with some support from all of my Haywire bikes to put in as much damage as possible. If I could kill Mortarion here, like, I can start to get momentum in this game.
Yeah.
Because he had everything pretty much set to charge and blast and blow me up. Because if Mortarion lives, I'm pretty much screwed. He's going to wreck my army.
I mean, Mortarion gives a big problem for your council alone, which is one of their biggest weaknesses is mortal wounds.
Yeah, and that's one thing to talk about is, like, mortal wounds really throws a wrench in this unit. Also, not passing your Psychic Powers throws a pretty big wrench in this unit.
You can still just roll 1s and 2s.
Which happened in this turn. I got all my Doom and my Jinx off, my offensive Psychic Powers off, but I didn't get Protect, and I didn't get Fortune off. And if you don't get those 2 off, these guys start to drop real fast.
Guys with 4+ saves.
And you can lose a 700-point unit very fast. So I do want to make it clear that this list is not infallible. There's a lot of breaking points in it, but it's fun. Anyways, so I'm right there on the line, and this is where the C's comes in. And the C's is, don't underestimate Terminators.
Specifically,
I believe they're called Blight Lord Terminators or Blight Shroud.
they're Deathshroud Terminators.
Deathshroud Terminators. Now, these guys could be like 100 points, and they would still be worth their weight in
They
gold.
used to be close to that.
Yeah, they got reduced quite a bit. And if you're a Death Guard player and you use Mortarion, I highly recommend you take a look at these guys.
You need to take them.
Because it's incredible what they do. Because I didn't really notice them or know about them before this little exchange happened, and I I thought I literally lost the game because of what happened here. So Mortarion got a psychic power off that gave him a -1 to hit. You guys probably all know it if you've shot at Mortarion.
Cloud of Flies.
Cloud of
always.
Flies. It's a great ability to help protect him. And I've got my Seer Council up first. I'm like, all my shots going to Mortarion. He's doomed. Let's do this. Spears are flying. Bullets are flying. And he goes, awesome. And I hit him with like 1,000,000 shots. As many as I can because I have minuses. And he goes, okay, I'm going to see how many I put on my Deathshroud Terminators. I was like, oh, what? And he takes I think I must have hit him like 25 times or something with all the shots. He picks up this whole bunch of dice and rolls it, and on 2+, he pulls all the hits. Now here's the interesting part about these crazy damn Terminators, is it's not he pulls a hit and then he goes a save.
Nope.
And then he pulls another hit and then he rolls a save. And like if a guy dies, he can't pull any more hits. No. He can pull as many hits. One Deathshroud Terminator can pull 40 hits. If he rolls 42 pluses, he can pull all 40 hits, even though that little Deathshroud Terminator can only take really 2 of them.
Because it's per unit.
Per unit. He can just absorb all the hits first, and then they can just explode the Deathshroud Terminator unit. I did not know this. So this Deathshroud Terminator unit, which was 3 guys, 6 wounds, period. They were sitting in cover because they were in the ruins, so they're 2+ went to a 1+ save. And they also have Disgustingly Resilient, 2 wounds apiece, and they took the entire wave of attacks from my Warlock Conclave, and I think I killed 1, and 1 was down to 1 wound. And I was like, it's okay, I'll just keep putting more shots. And I continued to shoot at Mortarion. Mistake. I shot a full Skyweaver unit in Mortarion, he did the same thing, and I think I killed 1 more, and there was 1 left. I fired the rest of my Skyweaver units into Mortarion, and I think there was 1 guy left with like maybe 1 wound remaining. I did my entire firing phase. I didn't deal a single wound to Mortarion. My shooting phase ended, nothing. And I killed 2 Deathshroud Terminators and left 1 on 1 wound. I was like losing it. I was like, I think I've lost. This is literally it. And you know why? Huge mistake. 1, I should have recognized the Deathshroud Terminators. 2, I should have been shooting at them. You know why? Because they don't have a -1 to hit, unlike Mortarion, who has a -1 to hit.
Yeah, now where it gets really crazy with specifically the Nurgle powers that they have, if he had gotten off another power, there's a funny thing you can do, which is you can do Cloud of Flies on Mortarion, have the Deathshrouds near, and then do the
you can't target them?
They become characters for a turn,
Yep.
and as long as they're behind Mortarion, then they're fine. You can't touch them.
And you can't touch them, and they're absorbing the shots from Mortarion. Like, it's crazy good, you guys. Like, Deathshroud Terminators, they are worth their weight in gold. They took an entire Eldari shooting phase, and Mortarion didn't take a single darn wound. They're amazing. So, I'm losing my mind at this point, because I'm like, I think I've lost. If Mortarion survives close combat, like, that's it. And guess what? They can do it in close combat, too.
Yep.
They can literally, that one single guy with 1 wound, I'm like, I'm going to throw my Conclave into Mortarion. I'm going to do all these Singing Spear attacks, and this little dude's just going to go, hey, and just dive in front of him and take all the hits. So I was like, I gotta, what do I do? Like, what do I do? And luckily, my recovery was the man himself, the Solitaire.
Of course.
Was right on the line.
Did he go for the Deathshroud Terminator?
And I was like, Solitaire, you got to do this. And he was like, you got it, boss. And he charges in, the Solitaire charges in, and he gets into the Deathshroud Terminators. My Warlock Conclave goes into Mortarion. He kills the Deathshroud Terminator first. At this point, he didn't have any CP left to do the interrupt, and my Warlock Conclave managed to kill Mortarion in close combat. But if I wasn't lucky enough to have the Solitaire there in time, and I had been smarter about my shooting, I could have just completely lost the game right then and there. Like, truly, if Mortarion didn't die, that would have been it.
Yeah, because...
he would have swung back and, like, exploded my unit. Because remember...
because you had no defensive
I had no
abilities.
defensive spells, and he would have just buzzed through that entire unit, and then he would have just overtaken my
So it's
army.
important to clarify that the Deathshroud Terminator ability is it's after a unit has attacked, which means that because he has all of investment in one unit, even if he had charged with his Seer Council, the Deathshroud Terminator, and Mortarion, he still has to do all of his attacks simultaneously, which means even if he put a bunch into the Deathshroud, all of the ones that go into Mortarion still get applied to the Deathshroud.
So the Deathshroud had to die first, and luckily the Solitaire, I think he just barely killed him. It was just, my goodness.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're incredible, and like I said, if you get that psychic power on them, that's the best part too, is that it doesn't count them as characters. It just says if they're not the closest unit.
Yep.
Which means not even snipers can target them. Because the sniper rifle rule says characters specifically.
Yeah, it does.
So they can't even be picked off by snipers.
It's a really good combo.
Wow,
People
it's
should
strong.
really check it out. Highly recommend. So, yeah, Deathshroud Terminators, and yeah, it
was a boo-boo, but you still won.
Still managed to pull it out. Thank you, Solitaire. You were clutch. But yeah, so had a real fun time with this experimental list. I'm going to continue to try it out.
Yep.
Probably for next tournament, I'll give you guys an update of how it goes. But the Clown Council served me just fine. The Troopmaster didn't really do anything.
And it
but who
gave you...
cares?
okay, so it filled 2 boxes that Jay has been, talking to me incessantly about for a long time, which is he wanted melee in his army back, beyond just the Solitaire, and he was even going as crazy as to throw something like Shining Spears in there, which I'm like, you've literally never used them
I've
before.
never used them, and truly, like, and I do mean this, I think Shining Spears are incredible. I just don't think I'm actually a good enough player to utilize Shining Spears efficiently, because I think they require, like, so much babysitting.
Yeah.
And they require to also be really, truly Yanari.
Well, I think
that's where
that
they really need to be.
I think the word that comes to mind with them, which you don't just have the chops for, is the finesse to use them.
That's the thing. Like, it's a lot of babysitting. It's a lot of finesse. It's a lot of activations at the right time. And, like, Korn and I just want to just smash stuff in close combat.
And then the Seer Council also gave you something else that you've wanted for a long time, which is a heavy Eldar Psyker army. You love Eldari Psykers, and you just didn't have them, and it was like gnawing at your soul that you weren't using a Seer Council type army.
Yeah.
And now you can.
Yeah.
And you're a jerk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
It's great. I love it.
I think the one last thing we didn't point out is that normally Warlocks have a limited smite, but if there's 7 or more models, then their smite is only 12 inches, but it's an...
it's actually only 9 inches.
Sorry, it's only 9 inches, but it's an automatic D6 smite.
Yeah, if there's 7+, it's a D6 smite automatically.
And then 3 to 4 or 3 to 7 models, it's
regular
still
smite.
a regular smite.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still good.
Pretty good. And remember, because they're Warlock Conclave, they have that special stratagem that lets them double their psychic power range.
Yeah.
So, pretty fun.
Also, you can do Seer Council, which means that
+1 to cast
Farseer
and everything.
and themselves get a +1 to cast. So, real good.
Pretty fun.
Far more sound than 9 crisis suits, I would say.
Hey, we both experimented. We A/B tested. You A, I B'd, and the B managed to net out.
And A went horribly wrong. A good learning experience.
We've all learned something.
I mean, it was that's the thing, though, guys. I lost all 3 of my games. It went as bad as it could have gone. But, it gave me a greater insight into the army and to what things should be fixed with it.
And
so
truly, like, basically losing games, like, you learn a lot.
Oh, you always learn more from your losses than you do from your wins.
And that's the best part. It just gives you an opportunity to tweak and make anything better.
You can't realize the weaknesses in a force until you have that first bad loss, and then you're like, I didn't even think of this, but now I know.
Yep.
And as they say on G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle.
That old data slate.
G.I. Joe.
And weird that they're now an entire faction.
Yeah, they are.
They are. All right, everybody. Those were Seasons of the Month. And now to the Brown Library. All right, here we are in the Brown Library, a subsection of the Black Library, and it's where Andrew and I will meet each month and crack open one of these ancient tomes and potentially build an unlikely list.
And not get eaten by warp entities.
And not get... Wait, is that what all these warning signs are for? Is that what the silhouette is of a monster eating a clown?
Have you been doing the forget injections like every day now? You're addicted to them, but you don't know about it?
I wake up with way less screaming when I do it. I mean, I wake up just refreshed, you know? I don't remember any of the things that happened the day before.
You know we have a limited supply of that stuff, right? And like everything in here is psychologically damaging.
We do? I mean, I feel like I'd remember that we would, but
Hold
I use
on.
those forget injections every time, so I don't know how I'd retain it.
The box is empty, Jay.
What box?
The forget injection box.
Who am I? Anyways, let's talk about this month's special list that we have crafted from the dark and dangerous corners of
That
the
you don't
webway.
know about.
That I don't know about. That I forget.
So in anticipation of possible changes to one of the top tier and crushing lists out there, which is an Astra Militarum base, I decided to craft an Astra Militarum list that has none of the common accoutrement of the top tier list. So no knights.
What? The best Astra Militarum unit?
No knights. It does have the CP battery, but it's like a single character with the warlord trait with the single relic that's what they have.
But there's more than just infantry and a company commander?
So there are no company commanders in this list.
What?
There are no infantry blobs in this list.
There are other things than those things in Astra Militarum?
Listen, okay. There are two things in Astra Militarum. Well, one has been split to its own faction, but it's still part of Astra Militarum, and it's one of my favorite things in all of standard Imperial, which is Stormtroopers, a.k.a. Militarum Tempestus, which that is the last time I will say that. I will be calling them Stormtroopers for the rest of the podcast. Stormtroopers, which are like essentially ultra elite guardsmen.
Yeah.
They are the special forces. They are awesome. Jay and I have a special place in our heart for them.
And their guns are so cool.
They're hotshot lasguns, formerly called hellguns, which again I won't call them hotshot lasguns.
They'll be called hellguns.
They'll be called hellguns because
Nice.
it's a way cooler
We've all
name.
taken everybody back to like 7th edition.
I mean, this goes way back. This is like 4th, 3rd edition.
Oh yeah, true.
This
I remember
goes
when
way
they first
back.
came out. Was it 4th edition?
I think it was 3rd edition when they first came out.
Like I remember the models when they first came out. They looked so cool. Their guns were so different. Like,
they looked like special forces. They looked, if you are aware of this data slate sort of anime is what they call it, called Jinro, the Wolf Brigade. They look like these super badass armored guys with these crazy advanced laser cannon machine guns.
which is what they are, right? They're like souped up lasguns.
Yeah, I mean, a hell gun. Not calling it the other thing.
I don't know what else you would have possibly called it.
It's a lasgun on steroids. It's been up to 11. The dial's been turned to 11.
But sir!
Yeah. I mean, it's lasgun strength. It's only strength 3, but it's got a native AP -2.
Which is so good.
Which is so good. AP -2,
man.
That's that money zone. It's just like strength 5 is the money zone. AP -2 is the money zone, where it like equally affects everything bad. Mm-hmm. And it's an 18-inch rapid fire weapon, so still great. They can still be affected by orders, so they can still get crazy things like first rank fire and have a 4-shot gun at 9 inches, which is with AP -2 is just hilarious.
That is.
So they're awesome. I love them. The Cadian specific group, which they don't have their own individual unit anymore, but they used to. They're called Kazarkins, where they're stormtroopers. They were very cool. Fluff-wise, look them up. They're very awesome. They're essentially like, because Cadians are born to fight. Cadians are essentially trained soldiers from an early age because of where, Cadia has been overwhelmed by the warp.
How is Cadia doing these days, by the way?
Remember Cadia?
Is it doing okay?
No.
Oh.
It's like split in half, and it's got like warp everywhere.
That's not good.
But Cadia stands. Damn it.
Did the planet fall before Cadia did?
Cadia stands, Jay.
All right.
Moving on.
It's a really cool book, actually. That story's great.
Oh, yeah. The Cadia Stand story, The Fall of Cadia, is an amazing story, and it's the precursor story to where all of everything is fluff-wise currently.
Yeah, it was like kind of like the big inciting incident.
Yeah, it was
like the new standard. It's what created the Cicatrix Maledictum.
Yeah, well, it was the final straw in that plan because that was a long, extended 13 Crusade plan.
Which Abaddon obviously had planned the entire time.
He did.
He did.
Very clearly.
It was a really complicated plan.
And it was also a major introduction of the alliance between the Imperium and the Inari.
Yep.
And the resurrection of G-Man. And
it's it's one of the biggest events that's happened recently. So
yeah, huge world universe changing event in 40K, because typically 40K as far as the general landscape hasn't changed very much in 20 years, and this was like a major event.
Now Cadia. The Cadians, now not all of them died.
No,
obviously.
they're still around. They lost many of them. Creed may or may not be in a Tesseract labyrinth under the cloak of Trazyn the Infinite, because he gave him a choice, and things happened, and we're not sure.
We're not entirely sure.
Creed,
but he's probably alive.
But yes, many Cadians still escaped. They managed to escape the planet before it was overtaken by the warp, and they're notoriously, they are unwilling to break. They hold their ground.
Highly regimented soldiers. They are like
Yes.
the peak of badassery when it comes to like thinking of like a well-trained professional
army.
We're here to the final man army.
And that's why their stormtroopers were specifically called Kazarkins, because they were like, they get the hardest fucking jobs where it's like they go into deep enemy lines and anything can go wrong, but they get the job done. So love stormtroopers. They're amazing. They have great guns. They have a native BS3+, which is awesome with their guns.
Great.
4+ armor save, which is also great. 3+ in cover, awesome, cool. So we'll have them. The other thing that I love about Astra Militarum, I'm going to call them Imperial Guard from now on. That's the last time you hear that word.
We've been correcting a lot of terms.
Yeah. Imperial Guard, they have something that I feel like not enough people are utilizing these days, which is tanks. They have the widest tank pool of any army in the game.
Yep.
By a huge margin. And if you include Forge World, it gets to like crazy levels where they literally have like 30 variations on tanks. I'm not even joking. It's like 30 variations. Leman Russ's alone, which is like their signature battle tank, like people know Imperial Guard by the Leman Russ, which is named aptly after the maybe still alive Primarch. It's like the most flexible chassis. There's like, including Forge World, there's like 10 plus variations of Leman Russ that you can take.
Jeez.
Which is crazy. But I love tanks. I love tanks in general. They have some of the coolest ones. A lot of them are not, much appreciated anymore. They also have a huge pool of super heavy tanks.
Oh, yeah.
The Baneblade chassis.
The Baneblade, the Storm Lord, the Shadow Lord, the Shadow Sword, the Battle Lord, the Truck Lord,
There's lots of lords.
Only one of those was fake, I think. I think most of them were.
Maybe one
the
of them.
The Gun Lord. Lots of lords. A lot of storms. A lot of things going on.
Yeah, so they have like that chassis of super heavy tank, a 28 wound tank, has lots of different...
It's like a giant freaking building. It's like if you took a skyscraper and laid it on the ground, it'd be that.
And it drives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's a moving building. I mean, like, can only be compared to a moving building.
I mean, they're so dangerous, too, even in close combat. Like, can you imagine if one, like, I don't know, killed, like, a bunch of Carnifexes and, like, a Swarm Lord, maybe?
We promised not to talk about that. Or Dreadnoughts. In Overwatch.
Amazing.
So they're super heavy tanks. They're not only are they really cool, they're essentially just a giant weapons platform. They have these cannons that are crazy strong, like all of them.
Inside them, they actually are like kind of like miniature buildings, right? Like there's like whole tons of teams inside each of these.
Okay,
teams.
so not all of them have that ability. So only some of them have transport capacity, but the ones that do have transport capacity, like almost whole companies are within them.
Jeez.
Like up to like some of them have like up to like 30 units or 30 models in them, which is crazy.
But even like crews, it's still like tons of different crew points. And
I mean, you're imagining these are crewed by at least 20 plus guys because there are so many different guns and things that need to be controlled. And then you have the far more specialized ones, like the ones we see most often, like Shadow Swords, which have one of the most terrifying weapons in the game, the volcano cannon.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Sweet.
So I love tanks. I love the Leman Russ. It's just so signature, just like Crisis Suits to Tau. The Leman Russ is Imperial Guard for me. Like, that is Guard. And the Leman Russ got a significant boost in the Codex that a lot of people just chose not to utilize. Very strange. They also have one of my favorite characters in all of 40k, which is Knight Commander Pask.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the tank ace, and he is the counterpart to Commander Longstrike, which is a Tau tank commander. They are rivals and equal tank aces, and they fucking hate each other, and
Makes
it's
sense.
hilarious. Let's get to the army a bit. So those are the things we're using: tanks of variations and stormtroopers.
I love it.
All right, so our one detachment is we have a battalion that's not a brigade. We have a battalion that's Cadian because we got to have Pask, and Pask is Cadian, and Cadia stands, goddammit.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
So our HQs, we're taking Knight Commander Pask in a Leman Russ. We're taking a regular tank commander in a Leman Russ. And now these are cool because tank commanders, including Pask, have the ability to give orders to Leman Russ tanks.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, like, you can do this better.
Like, it's amazing that they have so many tanks in their army that they literally have tank commanders.
Yes, that do orders like their infantry do. It's very cool.
Man, orders really is one of the coolest things about Astra Militarum.
It gives their army such a degree of flexibility that it reminds me of Deathwatch, where Deathwatch have the flexibility in their ammo. Special issue ammo that Imperial Guard has is orders.
And it's so cool.
Like, almost all of the orders are good. Like, usable in any respect, being able to move and advance twice, being able to suddenly turn their guns from rapid fire 2 to rapid fire, from rapid fire 1 to rapid fire 2.
So good.
To fall back and still shoot.
Amazing.
To suddenly attack in close combat for free, which a lot of people are experiencing these days with Catachin.
Just blobbing up and just punching the crap out of stuff.
Order, fixed bayonets. We're strength 4 with 3 attacks each, and we attack before the combat phase has even begun. Oh, God.
Well, as we know, because I've gotten a lot of the Imperial propaganda, and it's usually correct, bayonets are the most powerful close combat weapon in the universe,
They
right?
are. Well, next to, if you're aware of it, the Shock Maul.
Oh, yes, the Shock Maul, of course.
But that's like holy.
It's very holy.
That's
And
the
I believe there's
holiest of
only
holiest.
one in the entire universe.
There
I don't know
is.
who has it, but yes, but separate from that holy relic, clearly the bayonets are the most powerful thing in close combat.
But yeah, so they have the orders are amazing. Tank commanders have a choice of 3 different orders. They can either do an order that allows them like move to move. They can't fire, but they essentially get a double move. They get a move for free, which is very cool.
Oh yeah.
So orders happen. They all happen during the shooting phase, and they do different things. But like, the infantry get their own set of orders. Tank commanders get 3 different types of orders. The one I mentioned, which was, they get to free movement. They get one where they can reroll all ones for shooting, which is very good.
Oh yeah.
And then they get another one where they can shoot and then immediately deploy their smoke launchers, which, if you don't know, that normally they can't shoot if they deploy smoke. But it gives them a -1 on their vehicle for a turn.
Very good.
So this order allows them to shoot and then still apply the -1 for 1 turn, which could, save their lives. Now, a Leman Russ battle tank is like no slouch. It's toughness 8. It's 12 wounds with a 3+ save.
That's great.
So it's like a mini knight, sort of.
Yeah, and I mean, T8 is so good.
T8 is very strong, especially when you have a lot of it. Then it makes it like, I mean, we've seen with the the Nurgle tank.
Yeah, the
mortar
Plague
tank.
Burst Crawler?
Plague Burst Crawlers. We've seen when one is like not a big deal, but when there's like 3 of them and other things, like it's so much T8 that it's just a wall to get through.
Yeah.
So tank commanders also have a native 3+ ballistic skill. Now, unfortunately, one of their things that degrades in their profile is their ballistic skill, but it's nice for them to start with a 3+. Pask, on the other hand, starts with a 2+.
Which is pretty good.
And Pask has also the ability to issue 2 orders a turn.
Wow.
So he can issue an order on himself and another tank, or orders on multiple tanks. Yes, tanks can give themselves orders. So like they can give, if they want to, the minus or the shoot and then smoke to themselves, or the reroll ones to hit to themselves. But the advantage of being Cadian is if they don't move, they get a native reroll ones for shooting.
Right.
So then if they're not moving, then they already get that, which means then you can do any of the others. You can do the orders for like just shooting then smoking and stuff like that. Tanks, specifically Leman Russ, has also got an additional bonus in their codex from the index that made them kind of crazy good.
Really?
So if they move half their distance or less, their turret weapon can fire twice.
Oh, yeah. It's like they did something similar for the Fire Prism.
Yeah, so it's called Grinding Advance, and that allows them to fire any of... So essentially, all of their turret weapons, they normally have a movement of 10 inches, but a lot of the times their turret weapons, since they're a shooting platform, are going to be in range from longer distance, so you don't really ever have to move them more than 5 inches. And as long as you move them 5 inches on damage, they can fire their turret weapon twice. So you essentially have to consider the profile of all their turret weapons as being double the amount of shots that it's displayed. So even like the one that's, largely disliked, which is the Exterminator autocannon, it's a heavy 4 autocannon, is technically a heavy 8 autocannon on a Leman Russ, which is not the bad, but we're not using those. We're using something else specifically, which we'll get to in a second.
Oh, really?
That just dials it up to 11 with regards to the amount of firepower. So all Leman Russ tanks have a hull-mounted weapon, and it's something that's mounted in the front of the tank. They have the option to take 2 sponsons, guns on the sides if they want. We're not going to bother with that because I actually found that the best way to focus on a Leman Russ, their points can just get out of control if you start giving them too much stuff. And even though they're T8 with 12 wounds and a 3+ save, it's still not the hardest thing to destroy. So I think it's better to keep them cheaper and have them focus on a singular role. So we also in this battalion have 3 regular Leman Russ tanks. So there are 5 Leman Russes in this list, and all 3 Leman Russes, the tank commander and Pask, have the same guns. Now, the only difference is that Pask has a lascannon mounted in his front because he's BS2+. And
because he's cool.
He's cool. He's got to be different.
Yeah, he's got a sweet lascannon.
But all of the other Leman Russes and the tank commander all have a Punisher cannon and a heavy bolter in the
I think
front.
I've heard about this gun. Doesn't it have a bajillion shots?
So the Punisher cannon, it's only a range of 24, but it's a heavy 20 strength 5 gun.
Oh, I see what's happening here.
So that means that every Leman Russ that doesn't move or moves at least half its distance has 40 strength 5 shots.
God, that's so many shots.
It's a lot. Now, as well, because they're Cadians have a stratagem that I did not know about until somebody mentioned it to me, which is it's very similar to the Tau-focused fire stratagem. As long as they have damaged a unit, then any other Cadian unit for 2 CP gets +1 to hit against that unit.
Oh, wow.
Which means that all of your Leman Russes with orders can suddenly be hitting on 3s rerolling 1s against the thing, your commander's hitting on 3s rerolling 1s, and your Pask is hitting on 2s rerolling 1s against the thing.
Jeez.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
With 40 shots each.
Oh my god.
It's 200 strength 5 shots. 200. At the money strength with their strength 5. Not to mention that each of the regular guys also has just a heavy bolter inside of its hull, and then, Pask also has a lascannon. But, I mean, it's just so much strength 5 firepower that, I mean, that kills everything.
Jeez.
Like, even knights have to worry about that because at 200 strength 5, everything wounding them on 5, you're going to fail 3+ saves.
So many shots.
Isn't
the Punisher cannon, it just looks like a giant, minigun?
It's a giant minigun, yes.
Awesome.
The advantage as well is that Leman Russes with their grinding advance ability, they're when they move and fire their turret weapon, because it's a heavy weapon, their turret weapon is unaffected by moving and firing heavy weapons.
That's good.
So they'll always be at their base ballistic skill, which is important with regular Leman Russes, which start at a 4+ to hit. Now, you'd say, well, there's so many minuses in the game and everything, but when a unit's firing 40 shots...
40 shots!
And there's 3 of those guys firing 40 shots, and then 2 commanders firing 40 shots.
And guess what? Astra Militarum doesn't really have a problem with CP, so you can just spend those 2 CP and just have everybody firing at 3. Plus ballistic skill. That's really good.
So our troops in this battalion... are 3 units of 10 stormtroopers, because you gotta have stormtroopers. They're awesome.
Nice.
They're favorite infantry unit in all of Imperial Guard. I love them. And then we have a commander that's a Tempestor Prime. Now, the advantage is that the Tempestor Prime, he's essentially he's the company commander for stormtroopers. He's their company commander.
Is he the guy with the cane that I always see?
He's got the rod. Yes,
got
the
the
rod
rod.
of command.
The Imperial Guard have the greatest rods in all of the universe.
They do. The people see the rods and they're like, gotta
Whoa.
obey that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty sweet.
So the rod that he has allows him to what's called a rod of command. It allows him to cast 2 orders a turn, and then he has a relic that called the Laurels of command that allows him to apply 2 orders to the same unit in a turn. Which, okay, let's get into some of these orders. We've talked about tank orders. Now the infantry orders we've mentioned. One of them specifically being one of the most used one, which is called first rank fire, second rank fire, turns any lasgun or hotshot lasgun from rapid fire 1 to rapid fire 2.
What's a hotshot lasgun?
Strength 3, AP -2, baby. 18-inch range. Now, here's the thing. These guys more often than not will deep strike. All stormtroopers have the native ability to deep strike. So you can have all 3 units deep strike and the Tempestor Prime deep strike, and then him apply his bonuses to them.
Very cool.
As well, there's a stratagem in Imperial Guard in general that allows them, a commander, to apply an extra order to a unit each turn. So it's possible, because of his rod of command, that he can come down with the 3 units, and if he wants to, apply 3 orders to all 3 units. And then the Laurels of Command relic that applies an extra order to a unit does not count towards the number of orders that they can command. So technically, if you want to in a turn, he can come down with the 3 units and apply 4 orders to them. This is where it gets crazy. So obviously, the changing a rapid fire 1 weapon to a rapid fire 2 weapon, very useful, especially in those units that deep strike. They won't be able to deep strike into their rapid fire range the turn they come down, because it's an 18-inch weapon, and that's a 9-inch rapid fire, which they have to be out of 9 inches. But suddenly going from 10 to 20 shots per squad with
really good.
AP -2 is very strong. Stormtroopers have a specific order that's just for them that allows them to reroll all wounds against a monster or vehicle.
Wow.
So you think about that, you could actually put them in range, their 9-inch range of something like a knight, and be like, are you going to use ion shields? It's -2 to wound. I haven't done my orders, or I've just done my orders. I have 4 shots per guy now. That's 40 shots hitting on 3s. And you put the order on them because you have the Laurels of Command to give them reroll all wounds against a knight. And suddenly you have 40 shots hitting on 3s that reroll all wounds. They
I guess
wound
3
on 6s.
units turning into rapid fire 2, being outside of 9, it would be 60 shots, wouldn't it? Because it's 20 from each.
Oh, I'm saying if you take a single unit and put it into its 9-inch rapid fire range and make it a 4-shot gun, that's 40 shots.
Yeah.
And then you can apply to that 40-shot unit the reroll all wounds against a vehicle, and suddenly it's 40 shots that on 6's wound. Yeah, it's a 6 to wound, but it's rerolling all wounds.
You're rerolling everything. I mean, look, everybody likes Eldar's Doom psychic power. Doom's pretty good.
And putting Doom on them with a gun that's AP -2, that can cause serious damage.
And not even against a knight, like even against Magnus or Mortarion. Maybe not Magnus, because -2 doesn't play as much into account, but like against a Mortarion, or even just like Taloses or big monsters or anything out there. Like, again, some of those things have invul saves, but like just being able to reroll wounds and get that many shots on monsters and vehicles is huge.
With an AP -2, a native AP -2 is very strong. So like that's a very cool ability that they have. So that's your troops, and that's your deep striking unit. That actually eliminates a lot of possible kill points turn 1 because they can deep strike, and allows you more flexibility for where they go. Now, obviously, with your 5 Leman Russes and your 200 strength 5 shots, by no means are your anti-infantry shots gone.
God, 200,
with them deep striking
200 strength 5 shots
with a 29-inch range. Like, that's the important thing to remember, is it's a 29-inch range, which means if you put them on the front line, like anything that's on your opponent's front line is better be prepared to eat 200 shots, because it's about to. Like, it's a lot. Done the math. Kills knights because it's just too much.
It's too many. And strength 5. I mean,
it's
wounding on 5s. It's great. That's the magic number.
It's the magic number. And so that's very strong. So then what's the rest of this army? Well, we have a Catacian Outrider now, or, Catacan, however you say it. I will pronounce it Catacian because that's the way
I'm sure somebody will correct us.
Our Catacian Outrider is very different. We don't have any, platoon command squads. We don't have any Catachan infantry, which is all the rage right now because they're strength 4 and with a priest and Strachan and all these people.
You can give them crazy bonuses.
And
you
then
can
you
group
can combine them
into a super unit that just punches everything.
Very good. Very good. We're not going to use that at all. So our Catachan HQ is a Primaris Psyker. Unusual.
Which is ironic for Catachan.
But
he is the most ripped Psyker in all the universe.
I mean, he's jacked.
He's jacked.
No shirt.
Prepare to eat psychic damage.
And we've mentioned that we've given the Laurels of Command to the Tempestor Prime. That's the relic he has. The relic we give this guy is called the Death Mask of Olinius. And this gives him something that's very important because he's normally going to be our Warlord, and he's going to take the Warlord trait that on every CP you spend on a 5+, it's returned.
Pretty good.
Very good. We will not have the relic that... unless we decide to give a third relic to like Pask or the tank commander to give when an opponent uses a strategy.
What is the Aquila or something?
It's called the Kurov's Aquila. So we can give it to one of them if we want to.
Fair enough.
I don't know if we want to spend the extra 2 CP just to get that. But this guy gives him something very important. It gives him a 4+ invulnerable save, which a Primaris Psyker normally doesn't have any invul save. And if he's your Warlord, that's kind of important.
Yeah, I would say so.
Normally he's going to be sitting back. And then in addition, once per game, you can heal D3 wounds, which is also useful, especially on a guy that only has 4 wounds and comparals. So that can essentially...
And can get hit with those Siegebreaker missiles.
Yeah, I mean, more often than not, he's only 4 wounds. A Siegebreaker has a good chance of just killing him.
Yeah. But if he doesn't, still be alive.
Ironically, I don't know what exactly the best option. If I was against Siegebreaker missiles, I might not actually make him the Warlord, because it may be just better to have like Pask as the Warlord, because then like at least if he's going for Warlord, he has to like dedicate to get rid of it.
True.
And then if he's shooting at that, then he's not shooting at the last... Oh, we'll get to the last piece of the list. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Ooh.
So in this Catachan Outrider, Catachans have a really cool ability, which is when they fire a weapon that has an undetermined amount of shots, like D6, D3, whatever, 2D6, they can re-roll one of the die, determining how many shots they have.
Yeah, it's great.
So I wanted to use a unit that I don't see enough of, and they were such a staple back in 5th edition.
Rough Riders.
No.
Oh, okay.
No Rough Riders in this list. Only if we take Death...
We to be fair, in 7th edition, we already did a Rough Riders episode.
We did. And also, if they are Rough Riders, they have to be Death Corps of Krieg because they have the Steel Riders, the fucking mechanical cyborg horses. There's no other Rough Riders in the game. Maybe Talern because they got those weird...
But what about DMX's Rough Riders?
They're obviously...
The same. One and the same.
One and the same.
Of course.
But what unit we're taking that used to be such a staple of the army is Hellhounds. Now, the reason I want to take them, first of all, I did not realize how good a Hellhound is. A Hellhound it's T7, 3+ save, 11 wounds. So like the standard strong armor.
Yeah.
Still a pain to get rid of. They have a 12-inch move to start.
That's great.
But here's the thing. I didn't realize, there's 3 different variations of a Hellhound. There's the Hellhound, the Devil Dog, and the Bane Wolf. They all do
I think there's even
things.
like a Forge World Hellhound that's crazy.
There's a Forge World Hellhound that its Hellhound Flamer is instead 1d6, strength 6, AP -2, and 2 damage. But the regular Hellhound, so we're not going to do Devil Dogs or Bane Wolves. The Devil Dog is like a Melta Cannon, the Bane Wolf has a Chem Cannon. The regular Hellhound's Inferno Cannon is 16-inch range.
That's great.
Heavy 2d6, strength 6, AP -1, 1 damage auto hits. It's a 2d6 strength 6 heavy flamer with a 16-inch range.
That's really good.
It's really good. We can also give him a hull-mounted heavy flamer, so he can have essentially 3d6 auto hits, which with a 12-inch move is not bad.
No.
It's a 20-inch minimum range. Pretty good.
And it's assault, or is it heavy?
They're heavy, so they can't advance and fire their weapons at all. That's fine. That most of the time they're just going to be moving their 12 inches.
12 inches is still great. I mean, by turn 2, they're going to be in range of probably what they want to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, that's assuming things haven't come at them.
Exactly.
And 3d6 auto hit flamers is not something you really want to charge into.
Oh, definitely not.
And as well, the funny thing about them is that being Catachan, they get to reroll one of those d6 on one of those weapons for free.
That's right.
And then if you have a really bad roll, you can CP reroll another one of those if you really want to. But just having the native flat reroll for one of those dice means if they have all 3 flamers in range, they're averaging around 12 to 13 hits, auto hits at AP -1. Pretty good. They also have one of the most hilarious abilities, which is they have a really nasty explosion.
Yeah, I think it's like, don't they explode on a 4+, I believe?
So they normally explode on a 6, but as a Hellhound, you add 2 to the roll. So yes, they explode on a 4+ with a D3 mortal wounds, and they're always going to be in the fray.
Jeez.
So like you're kind of like, I just want to be super aggressive with these guys and just throw them up there and just be flaming things. You can charge me if you want, but you kill me, you're going to explode.
Pull your old knight tactic. With these guys.
Just throw it in and just like, you think I'm going to resurrect, but no, I just want to explode.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And they're relatively cheap. They're only slightly over 100 points each. So like
that's great.
So as a unit that's like just sort of an everything unit, they handle infantry. They can handle big things because it's strength 6 flamer. They can handle flyers because it auto hits. They can handle all the -1 in the game because they auto hit.
Yeah,
so
flamers are the magical weapon of the edition.
Yeah, so they're just their base flamer, their Hellhound flamer being a range 16 it's a 28-inch range. It's crazy.
It's incredible.
Like that's insane. So they're very fun, and I wanted 3 of them. That's our Outrider detachment. So then the end of this list, okay, normal Imperial Guard, non-Forge World, has a bit of a problem with heavy armor. Now, a lot of their anti-tank heavy armor weapons, including the ones that Leman Russes can take, including what should be higher strength, is their Vanquisher battle cannon, which is a specific anti-tank battle cannon. It has like a Melta ability, essentially, rolling the additional d6, discarding the lower, but it's only a single shot, 2 shots if it moves half range or less, but it's still only strength 8. And strength 8 is like right where you don't want to be with anti-armor, because that means against any of the heavy stuff, which you really want to be going for, you're only wounding on 4s, not 3s.
Yeah.
Strength 9 is like really where you want to be.
Real nice.
I mean, strength 16 is a privilege for
strength
best.
16 if you can get it.
Even strength 14 is very good. I've seen it with things like Old One Eye and everything. Being able to wound things like Hellhounds and transports on 2s is still very good. But like strength 9 is like the money point for anti-tank, which is why lascannons are so good, because they're strength 9. So it's like, yeah, 200 strength 5 shots will get through armor eventually.
True.
But got to take the tried and true Shadow Sword.
Oh, yeah.
As your Lord of War auxiliary detachment.
Because he shoots volcanoes!
He shoots a volcano, literally. Just a mountain just comes out of the barrel.
It's very terrifying. You think it's just a regular gun, but it's just huge.
Okay, so the Shadow Sword, if you don't know, it comes just with 2 guns. And we're only going to give it those 2 guns, because I think this is another situation of a tank where people overinvest and the points just get out of control. And already, just with its 2 stock guns, a volcano cannon and a twin heavy bolter, it's 404 points. Which they're actually more expensive than I thought they were, being a tank chassis that has no invulnerable save like a knight, and it's so many more points more than a knight, like a standard knight. Now, not more than a shooty knight, but then you give it more guns. They also only have a base ballistic skill of 4+, which like is not the best. They also they degrade, and they have no way to like be at max profile, which is kind of like, oh, that's not the best.
I guess, I mean, if you take the one faction that does the double wounds, but like, yeah, it's true. Like with Catashans or Acadians, they have no way to actually access something like that.
Yeah, the Valhallan regiment, because they're in, unlike Clown Masks or Space Marine chapters, their ability is a regimental trait. Yes, the Valhallan regimental trait doubles the number of wounds to when they're talking about degrading profiles.
But unless you're playing them, you gotta just hope it doesn't die.
Okay, so here's where the Primaris Psyker comes in. So they only take 1 power and smite, and essentially it depends on what you're facing. Obviously, if you're facing something like a Castellan or something that, I don't know, an opposing Shadow Sword that also has a volcano cannon, you're probably not going to take Psychic Barrier, which gives them +1 to their save. Now, normally against regular anti-tank, this is really useful because it can make your Shadow Sword a 2+ save, which means they get essentially a 5+ invul against things like lascannons and stuff
really
like that. Very strong. Normally, though, against a lot of the anti-tank armies that exist in the game, including armies like yourself that have a lot of haywire, the best thing you can do is an ability called Night Shroud, which applies a -1 to hit on them.
It's pretty good.
Essentially gives them permanent smoke, which is very good.
Get that permy smoke.
A giant tank that has a volcano cannon.
We should shoot at that giant smoky storm, sir. I can't really see it very clearly.
And the advantage is that the warp charge level of this power is only a 6. So it's not
not bad.
Not hard to get off. And it's on a unit that's usually your warlord and usually way in your back line. So a lot of the time it won't be able to be denied.
True.
Which is very good. So it's important to have him in the back there. And he's just like there to just be like, don't die, Shadow Sword.
Stay alive. Good boy. Good boy, don't die.
Okay. So I think it's time we talk about what the volcano cannon is.
And if you haven't had a chance to get hit by this thing, congratulations, I guess.
There's a reason why knight players were weeping tears of joy when there was a warlord trait that gave a knight a 4+ invul save that with rotate ion shields they could make a 3+ invul save.
It is because of this.
It was this gun. It's 3d3 shots, so already averaging about 6 shots.
Yep.
Which is very good. Strength 16.
That magic number.
AP -5. 2d6 damage.
So good.
And it re-rolls wounds against Titanic units, which it's wounding anything in the game that's not like Apocalypse level on a 2+ re-rolling.
Yep.
So it basically guarantees that all of its hits will wound against anything it shoots at, well, especially Titanic. But then it also gets +1 to hit against Titanic units.
Wow.
Which means that it's normally hitting on a 3+ against a Titanic unit, but then with the Cadian stratagem, it's hitting on a 2+ against Titanic units. This is why, like I said, Castellan Knight users are like, man, it's good to have a 3+ invul save
when
against
they're
shooting.
rolling those 3+ invuls, they're like, ooh.
That's the thing, though. With an average of 6 shots, and on average with the Cadian stratagem, all 6 hitting and then all 6 wounding, 2 will still go through if they don't reroll, and 2 shots doing 2d6 damage each.
4d6 damage?
Whoa, that gets out of hand real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, now the real thing is that if you go against even like a specific, if you're not going against a single knight, you know, it's a sphincter moment every time you fire at that single knight that they're just hoping that they roll lots of 3+ and not suddenly a lot of 1s and 2s, because they have a very good chance with a volcano cannon to just one-shot a knight. Like, it's just gone. But then the advantage is if you go against multiple knights and you get first turn, if you want to, you can choose not to shoot the Castellan because it can get the 3+ save, and instead just target one of the other knights and just be like, the best you get is a 4+.
Pretty good.
And it probably goes wrong real fast, and then just chuck your 200 strength 5 shots at the Castellan and just bypass the fact that it has a 3+ invul at all.
Yeah.
Shadow Sword, real strong.
Real fun.
Volcano Cannon. I've been on the receiving end multiple times, and including when I played Tyranids and had a Thyra duel and watched as it one-shot at turn 1 with just 2 hits. Wow.
Dark times.
Oh, man. It was real scary. It just evaporated. So, yeah. So that's the list.
Now, this is a pretty fun list. And I would say there's one thing, especially now as we enter Orktober, that if you even moved around a couple points, you could bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Commissar Yarick.
Oh, yes.
And Commissar Yarick in a list like this against orcs with so many anti-infantry shots, and if you don't know Commissar Yarick's rule, is regular Astra Militarum units, not infantry, just units, within 6 inches of him, typically just get reroll 1s to hit. But against orcs, they reroll all hits.
Yep.
So you put him close enough to all these tanks, and you're having problems with orcs thanks to Orktober, Old Man Yarick will do you a lot of favors.
Now, think about this. I mean, like, we were talking about the difficulty of toughness 8. You have a 28 wound Shadow Sword, that's T8. You also have 5 Leman Russes are T8. So there's 6 sources of T8, and then 3 T7 Hellhounds, and then infantry that's deep striking. Like, if most of your turn 1 firepower is anti-infantry, there's basically nothing in this list that you can kill.
Even if you have anti-tank, there's just so much tank.
5 Leman Russes is a lot to get through.
a lot.
And then there's also a Shadow Sword.
Yeah. I like it. And, I mean, I love to see more tanks in Astra Militarum armies besides just knights. But, I mean...
Or, yeah.
Or basilisks are fine, too. I don't see as many, though.
There's a lot of basilisks, because basilisks got a boost that their shots, typically from the index, you would have to save CP just to give a reroll to a basilisk, but now basilisks roll 2 dice and pick the higher
get it
for their
innately.
shots.
Pretty good.
Very good. They also have a stratagem that they can just apply to a Basilisk or a Wyvern that gives them a +1 to hit. It's like aerial targeting or something.
I mean, it would just be cool to see more Leman Russes because they're like the staple tank when I think of Astra Militarum. And like, yeah, I think this would be a ton of fun to see on the tabletop.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was worried because Cadians, let me be clear here. Cadians have a command, an order that's a tank order that's specifically for Cadians that allows them to apply you get a reroll against a random shot weapon. The problem is that the majority of random shot weapons that they have aren't good enough to a point that if you're not sticking them on Pask or on the tank commander, they're that useful. And the only one that's really useful, which is like an anti-tank weapon, is the Demolisher Cannon, which only has D3 shots. The battle cannon's all right because you're thinking, well, technically the Demolisher Cannon, if it moves at half speed, is 2d3 shots.
That's better, yeah.
2d6 if it's 5 or more models in a unit. Not bad. The battle cannon as well is, it's technically 2d6 shots, but it's still only strength 8, which is the inherent issue. Like, you can rearrange things a bit if you want to. I think the Punisher Cannon just solves a lot of what their problem is, which is not the best ballistic skill and just so much overwhelming firepower that you're essentially turning all of those tanks into almost 20 Fire Warriors.
Yeah, it's a lot.
With just a T8 platform with a 3+ save, and then if it's behind cover, then getting a 2+.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, yeah, I would love to play this list.
Now, is the name of this list Thank You Very Much?
Oh, you may have just won the lottery with that. I was going to call it Bring the Hammer Down, but I think we're just going to call it Thank You Very Much.
Thank you very much. Jeez.
That was a good on-the-fly one there.
That was just off the top of the dome. Jeez.
But yeah, that's the list.
That's the list. You can bring this to your next game and thank people for their time. Thank them very much. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 51 of Roll to Seize. We'll be posting a new episode of this segment every last Wednesday of the month with episodes of our new show, Wrath and Story, the first and second Wednesday, but that schedule might be changing soon, so stay tuned. And if you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. You can email us any questions at rolltoseize@gmail.com. And your seizes, we'd love to hear more of those.
Yes, tell us. We all make mistakes.
We all make them. And, of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram for tournament and model picks when we remember to post them.
Yes.
At Partial Arc. Thanks for listening, and see you guys next month.
Goodbye.